Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Korman Productions, here celebrating Halloween month, taking a look at the 1999 movie Stir of Echoes, also known as the poor man's The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense was released in the same year and clearly won the battle of popular pop culture. I love Stir of Echoes every bit as much as The Sixth Sense, and so today I'm going to do a rewatch of the movie Korman Production style, which means recapping the movie with occasional dumb jokes and commentary. The movie's description reads as follows. After being hypnotized by his sister-in-law, a man begins seeing haunting visions of a girl's ghost, and a mystery begins to unfold around him. The movie was directed by David Cope, who also wrote the screenplay based on a book by Richard Matheson. Cope only directed 7 other projects, including a movie that I despise mostly for its ending, Secret Window. He is much more well known for his writing credits, which includes Jurassic Park, Snake Eyes, and the 2002 version of Spider-Man. Andrew Kevin Walker did some script doctoring on the film, but the Writers Guild of America denied him a screenplay credit, but he does receive a special thanks in the end credits. Stars Kevin Bacon, Ilena Douglas, and Kevin Dunn also starred in another film together, Picture Perfect. Before going any further, I will tell you a couple of things. This is not a spoiler video, so if you haven't checked out the film, please do so, and then come back and watch my video. Secondly, if you like this video and want to support the channel, please like, share, and comment, as well as subscribing to my channel. The movie opens with a shot of the house that our heroes live in. We hear a scary droning sound, which I suppose symbolizes the dead trying to speak. We hear strains of the song Painted Black, which was originally from the Rolling Stones, but for the movie it was performed by Gob. We cut to a kid taking a bath, played by Zachary David Cope, who, as child actors go, is really quite good in the film. So good, in fact, that he went on to star in absolutely nothing. His only other credit is for the Adam Sandler flick The Wedding Singer, which came out the year before this movie. He's looking directly at me, talking to me, and I don't quite get the random things he's saying to me. I suppose that's a kid for you. Tom, Jake's father, is playing guitar in the bathroom, played by Kevin Bacon, who has 104 acting credits, and I'm honestly astonished that that's it, because it feels like I've seen him in so much more. Let's see, there's A Few Good Men, The Woodsman, Sleepers, Flatliners, Mystic River, Crazy Stupid Love, another film I was tempted to give the Korman Productions treatment to. Those are just a few of the movies that came to mind within like 10 seconds. This happens to be one of my all-time favorite Kevin Bacon performances. He asks if Jake is okay. Jake says he is, and then he turns back to me and asks, "Can I ask you a question?" Well, shoot, kid, just ask your question. Asking to ask me just gives me anxiety. Tom interrupts our conversation to get Jake out of the tub. But after Tom is out of view, Jake turns to me and asks, "Does it hurt to be dead?" Whoa here. Why are you asking me that? Have I secretly been dead this entire time? Is this the part of the movie where I realize my own plot twist? Okay, wait, I think Jake might not have been talking to me after all. Jake is actually talking to his ghost friend. Phew. That was a close one. That made me really nervous. We cut to a weird close-up shot of what turns out to be 2 sisters hugging. Maggie, wife of Tom, and Lisa, her sister. Maggie is played by Catherine Erbe, my crush for this one movie. She has 53 acting credits, including probably a reunion with Kevin Bacon in the series City on the Hill. Her sister, meanwhile, is played by Irene Douglas, who has 122 acting credits, 7 directorial credits, 11 writing credits, 15 producer credits, and a partridge on a pear tree. This one has had quite the active career. Anyway, Tom learns from Lisa, much to Maggie's annoyance, that he's about to be a father, and his low-key, ill-advised response, "bummer," is the kind of response that would lead to many nights sleeping on the couch, which he's going to end up doing anyway for a good chunk of the movie, but not because of this. We right away establish an antagonistic relationship between Tom and Lisa. She gets sent upstairs to tend to Jake, and Tom takes a stab at pretending like he's happy with the news that he's going to be a father again. Not fooling me, Tom, and you're probably not fooling your wife either. But he realizes this means he won't be able to play in the band that he was trying to be a part of. Before leaving, Tom says he isn't going to be a lineman forever. He tells her that before they got together, he made certain promises about who he was going to be. and he didn't want her to think that he was just giving her some kind of line. Tom is a guy who had bigger dreams that never happened. He didn't want to be famous, but he also expected to be not quite so ordinary. I can relate. We see Tom tending to his son, turning off the light, turning on a baby monitor, turning on some kind of really cool nightlight, and I honestly kind of want one of those. And we hear whispering. Jake's eyes are open. He shushes the voices. We cut to the trio of Lisa, Maggie, and Tom heading to a party. Tom's got a baby monitor in hand. How much range do those things have? Yes, enough to go to a neighbor's house to have a little party. Can't imagine getting away with that in 2022. We are introduced to Tom's friend Frank, played by Kevin Dunn, who has 133 acting credits, including Transformers, I Heart Huckabees, and who also showed up in the movie I mentioned earlier, Snake Eyes, which the director and writer of this movie was also involved with. One of my favorite Nicolas Cage guilty pleasure movies. We also see the owner of the place Tom is renting out, played by Connor O'Barrow. His character is significant in ways we won't get till towards the end of the film. We are introduced to Frank's much-suffering wife, played by Louisa Struss. This is her film acting debut. From the dialogue, it seems like Tom has not been living in the neighborhood for very long. In fact, later on, we basically discover the time frame, which was 6 months or less. Frank is revealed to be a loudish character, as he's caught while standing right next to his wife, staring at another woman's boobs. Rookie move, dude. Rookie move. The party is starting to die down, and somehow Lisa starts talking about hypnosis, which almost no one in the room believes in, least of all Tom, who volunteers to try it out. Lisa doesn't want to do it because she thinks he's hostile. He claims he isn't. But yeah, Tom, you kind of are. Nevertheless, he convinces Lisa to try it. After all, what's the worst that can happen? Famous last words there, Tom. She tells him that he's in an empty movie theater, which we see visualized. He gets closer and closer to the screen, and the screen says sleep. Next thing we know, we're getting some creepy imagery. Tom wakes up. The crowd around him is laughing, oblivious to the fact that he looks like he just woke up from a nightmare. Internet Movie Database says that the hypnosis techniques seen in this scene, wow, that's quite a mouthful there, are used by professional hypnotists. And to ensure that anyone being hypnotized in the audience woke up, there was a musical cue at the close of the sequence to wake people up. Lisa is impressed that Tom was so cooperative. Tom, meanwhile, is disturbed by what he experienced, and he tells his wife that he just wants to go home. The inciting plot incident has occurred, and now the rest of the movie will begin in earnest. Cut to late at night. Tom is having trouble sleeping at 1 a.m. He finally manages to sleep a little. He then has a disturbing dream about his hypnosis session. He wakes up, and it's only an hour later. Man, I hate nights like that. His wife picks this moment to get amorous and try to engage in extracurricular activities. David Cope, in the commentary for this movie, said he wanted more nudity, but was a bit too shy to ask for it. What a coincidence. In 1999, I felt the same way. Well, about the more nudity, not necessarily the shyness part. Though, in 1999, I was in my junior year in high school, and yeah, I was kind of shy back then. Anyway, moving along. As Maggie tries to engage in the wild mambo, the mood is not helped by unwanted imagery of a woman's finger getting broken off in what seems like an attack, and this is clearly taking place in Kevin Bacon's mind. His wife is completely undisturbed by these images because she is not experiencing it. He finally can't take it and stops the lovemaking. His wife doesn't know what's going on, but she is completely failing to read that something is wrong with Tom. She is really quite oblivious towards the beginning of this film. He goes to the bathroom where he seemingly pulls out a tooth, only this isn't real. He goes downstairs and drinks directly from a carton. Your wife hasn't trained you very well, I see. He has disturbing flashes of something he doesn't quite understand. His breathing is harder. He sits on the couch, turns on the TV, leans back, and is startled to discover a girl who looks less than healthy, but still kind of pretty, as she is played by Jennifer Morrison of House MD fame, as well as a recent stint on the recently concluded This Is Us. Startled, he jumps up from the couch, and the ghost reaches for him, trying to say something, but we don't hear what it is. And then Tom tries to turn off the ghost or something with the TV remote. Not quite sure what he was trying to do there, but it works. This scene scared the ever-loving crap out of me, back in the day. He starts to go upstairs when he sees Jake at the top, and he proclaims, "You're awake now, Daddy," as we hear slightly creepy, slightly melancholy music. Pretty sure Jake is not referring to Tom being physically awake, but awake in a different way. The line works as a double meaning. Nicely done. Tom sits down on the stairs and tells his son that he doesn't feel good. Jake reaches for Tom's head, much to his confusion, and Jake tells him not to be afraid of it. Tom doesn't have a clue what's going on, but it's safe to say Jake does. The next morning before work, it seems like Tom is trying to explain away his failed lovemaking session, talking about things he was seeing. Maggie says it must have been the hypnosis, and that his brain is agitated. Maggie asks who the woman was, almost sounding jealous. "I don't know. I wouldn't be. Jennifer Morrison is attractive and all, but I would take Katherine Urban over her any day." And she's kind of underage in this movie. She died at the age of 16, so that's pretty unfortunate for her. At work, Tom calls Lisa to see if she left anything else in his mind that he ought to be aware of. Lisa is annoying the crap out of him per usual, but she finally confesses she said that when he woke up, he would be more open. What's that supposed to do? Why? How would she know? Oh, great. Starting to understand why she annoys him so much. Cut to Jake, once again looking like he's talking to me. "Hey, look, little dude. I'm trying to watch a movie here, and you're distracting me." Ugh, he's talking to his ghost pal again. Well, now I feel kind of used. What, I'm not worth talking to? Well, fine then. His mom is in the background trying to find a babysitter. Jake recommends a girl named Debbie. Wonder where he got that from. Maggie asks how he would know about that, and Jake just shrugs. Okay. You're not going to push him a little bit further on that? Crazy to note, this is just 20 minutes into the film that all of this has happened so far. I remember this being more spaced out. Debbie shows up at the door, and Tom sees a flash of red, which disconcerts him, so he acts a little weird. Debbie is played by Lisa Weil and has had 44 acting credits, including a recent stint on Westworld. As Tom walks with Frank, he continues to get red flashes, and he is distracted as Frank yammers on and on about high school football and his kid who plays. A kid that is important to the plot, but whom we barely see for much of the movie. We cut back to the babysitter, who eventually hears Jake talking on a monitor. Debbie is reading The Shrinking Man, which was written by Richard Matheson, who also authored Stir of Echoes. She goes to check on Jake, and Jake tells her Samantha says it's always dark where she is. The conversation gradually escalates to a full-blown interrogation and kidnapping, as Debbie is the sister of the dead girl. At the football game, Tom finally gets what his feelings are telling him. He runs from the football game, goes to the house where Jake is missing. He's joined by his panicked wife. Tom runs off. Maggie calls after him, "Where are you going?" And he replies, panicked, "I don't know," which still makes me laugh to this day. I'm sure it's not supposed to, but I always found it funny. They end up at the bus station, where they find both Jake and Debbie. Debbie is demanding to know where Samantha is. The cops are now involved, and it turns out that Debbie took Jake to her mother, who works at the bus station. Debbie continues to freak, accusing Tom and Maggie of knowing where Samantha is, while crying. Samantha has been missing for 6 months, and Debbie shows them a picture demanding to know if the girl Samantha that Jake was talking about is the one in the picture. The cop asks Tom and Debbie to look at the picture, almost like he's switching sides. Both say they have never seen the girl before. Only Tom is lying. The girl is in fact the ghost that Tom has been seeing. And for the record, the actress, Lisa Weil, actually has a sister named Samantha in real life. Back at the house, Maggie and Tom ask Jake about Samantha, while he hums Painted Black. Eventually, Samantha, through Jake, asks them not to ask the boy any more questions, to just talk to her, as Jake's voice gets really freaky. It's not immediately obvious what's happened here, but when all is said and done, that is what the movie reveals is going on. Tom starts to hardcore interrogate Jake, and gets carried away, while Maggie yells at him in the background. After things get heated, Jake just says that he doesn't want to talk about this anymore because it scares mommy. Late at night, Maggie is sleeping in her bed with Jake, while Tom is downstairs trying to make contact with his ghost by recreating the event where he saw her the first time. It doesn't work. I have never seen someone more disappointed at not seeing a ghost before, other than maybe a ghost hunter or a ghost buster. We cut to the block party where the kids that are important to the plot are in the background, and we occasionally see them and hear them talk. Maggie and Lisa talk about Tom, who's clearly becoming obsessed. Tom ends up asking the landlord, Harry, about Samantha. He claims to not really know who he's talking about, but he brings his son over, the one who's responsible for her being dead, to ask about Samantha. What a jackass. Anyway, it is suggested here that Samantha was mentally handicapped. Harry asks why he's asking, and Tom says he's been thinking a lot about her recently. That's kind of a weird response, and then he says that Debbie babysat for them. Meanwhile, Tom is wolfing down pills, and I'm guessing that's not aspirin. Maggie, meanwhile, is informing her sister that Tom hasn't left the house in weeks. He hasn't been to work, and he won't go more than 6 feet away from the couch, because that's where the ghost first appeared to him. Sounds slightly less than healthy there. We cut to Tom waking up. Seems to be the middle of the afternoon. He puts on one of his boots, looks for the other, and finds a note from Maggie that they are going to the park. He comes downstairs and sees Frank, who cryptically says, "They are going to kill you, Tommy. You and Maggie both." Frank goes outside, and Tom follows him, asking why he would say such a thing to him. Frank only says, "This is a decent neighborhood." Frank doesn't respond to Tom's question, so Tom wanders over to see his wife, and instead runs into Frank's son, Adam, who asks him if he wants to see something. Adam ends up showing him a gun, which makes Tom nervous. "Oh, really?" the kid says. "Then this is really going to make you nervous." He points the gun at Tom, who starts to freak out, and then points the gun at himself and fires, and then smears what looks like red paint all over his face. And then Tom wakes up again. It was all a dream. Phew. Only he's still missing a boot. It's under the couch like before, and he's got a note from Maggie, which prompts him to walk over to Frank's. He hears a gunshot. It's too late. Tom yells for help, and then we cut to Adam being put into the ambulance while his parents freak out. Maggie says she's going to take Jake for a walk. Didn't you guys just get back from a walk? Alright, whatever. Go on another walk, I guess. On the walk, Jake runs off into the cemetery when he hears bagpipes. It's a cop's funeral, as it turns out. He's noticed by a cop who smiles and waves at him. Maggie finally catches up with him and drags him away. The cop is played by Eddie Bo Smith and only has 24 acting credits. He eventually catches up to Maggie, where he says that the boy has eyes on him. Not her, though. Maybe Daddy? And Maggie confirms this. He tells Maggie to send Tom to him before walking away. Jake calls him by first name when saying goodbye. Funny thing is, he never said his name. We cut to Tom, who's on the couch playing Painted Black, or trying to. Jake ends up helping him out. In real life, Kevin Bacon is actually a skilled guitarist. He questions how he would know the song. "Well, duh, Tom. It's played several times during your movie. Pay attention. Sheesh." Maggie claims she's off to the movies, but Tom pretty much ignores her. She brings a knife. I frequently do that when I go to the movies. Lots of crazy characters out there. Oh, but wait. She's not going to the movies after all. Color me surprised. She's going to see Neil, who is not pleased to see her. She told him to send Tom, not her. His friends back in the building are super paranoid, and I'd like to get more info about who these guys are exactly. But that's not going to happen. Neil tries to get rid of her, but her husband is losing his mind, and she needs to know why. Neil tells her that Tom is a receiver now. Everything is coming in. He can't stop it, he can't slow it down, or even figure it out. It's like he's in a tunnel with a flashlight, but the light only comes on once in a while. Jake, meanwhile, has a much better flashlight. Neil asks if he knows what she wants yet. She claims that the ghost didn't ask for anything. Neil says, "Oh, but she definitely did, and now she's waiting and getting more and more pissed off that you aren't doing it." Back at the house, Maggie is preparing for a bath and a towel. She touches the water, and it's hot. Realizes Jake is watching a scary movie, so she changes the channel. The movie he's watching is the 1967 movie titled The Mummy's Shroud. She goes back into the bathroom, looks in the mirror, where we see a less than healthy looking Jennifer Morrison. Maggie doesn't see her, so she doesn't get scared. That dubious honor goes to us. Tom, meanwhile, is downstairs trying to find the music he was playing by looking through his CD collection. Psst! Tom? Check Rolling Stones or Gob. Maggie turns off the water, gets naked, don't mind the sight of that at all. Samantha is sitting on the edge of the tub, meanwhile making the water cold. Hey Samantha, boundaries? While Samantha is also screwing with the TV, turning it into a scary movie. This movie being The Living Dead from 1968, which is now playing on every channel. Jake goes as far as to unplug the TV, but it's still playing. So, this movie is atmospheric, great at building tension, has lots of creepy imagery, but it's amusing to note that in the end, the madder Samantha gets, the more she mildly screws with them. She changes the channel on Jake. Oh, and you want to make a hot bath? I'm going to make your water cold. Blah, blah, blah. Take that. Between this movie and The Sixth Sense, I'm starting to get that ghosts just have poor social skills. Guess that's what happens when you're dead. I, being an awkward kind of guy, have already got a head start on that. Maggie goes downstairs to get Tom to light the water heater in the basement, but Tom is busy being Mr. Obsessive, so she has to go to the downstairs herself. Cripes, this is a horror movie. Never go to the basement. Samantha kills a light bulb, being all petty again. Tom is listening to music when he suddenly finds himself in a vision. Back in the past, where apparently it's cold. There's plastic everywhere, and Tom ends up spotting Samantha. She spookily walks towards him and then reaches for him. This scene, by the way, was filmed by the actress walking slowly, but the speed of the film was sped up. When they were editing it, they played the footage at normal speed, which made the walk super creepy. He grabs her hand, and suddenly Tom finds he can't breathe. Maggie finds her husband just standing there, not breathing. She grabs for him. He falls to the floor. His eyes are red, like he has a bad case of allergies, and he yells, "He's here!" We cut to Tom going to Lisa, demanding to be hypnotized, so all this stuff will stop. But he's interrupting a date. I think she's a date. Maybe she's not. I don't know. And doesn't endear himself to this new girl. Tom's tone gets more gentle and asks if it's possible to kick this girl out. Lisa does so, and eventually Lisa hypnotizes Tom again, but it doesn't go as planned. Samantha appears. Tom is having trouble breathing. Samantha attacks him with plastic wrap on. He's freaking out, while Lisa is shouting at him to look at the screen. He does so, and the screen reads, "Dig." Tom wakes up, goes to the fridge, and frantically chugs down a beer, when Lisa says that whatever was happening to him was next level. But Tom now knows what he's supposed to do, which is dig. Cut to Maggie coming home, and honestly, I'm thinking at this point that Maggie should just never leave. Nothing good happens when she does so. Tom's outside digging holes in the backyard with Jake. Digging for dead people is fun for the whole family. Tom is acting like a lunatic. Maggie is trying to get him to slow down, or to stop entirely. Maggie wants to know what they are digging for. Tom doesn't think that's the question. Whether they want to admit it or not, they both know what they are digging for. They just don't know where. Tom tells Maggie not to worry. The body is not where Jake is digging. Either way, if he succeeds in this endeavor, the kid, if he isn't already traumatized, still will be. Tom flips out at Maggie, who keeps insisting that he stop, telling her that he won't stop, because this is the most important thing he's ever done in his entire life. She yells back at him, telling him that he better not talk to her like that ever again. And when he talks about his stupid life, he's talking about their stupid life, which she doesn't think is stupid, so how is she supposed to feel about that before going back into the house? It's like a normal family drama, but with dead people. Tom follows as Maggie sits and reads the mail. He apologizes. She just gives him a look, so he just says, "Okay, I'm not sorry." Real mature Tom. He asks about the letter she's reading, that her grandmother is going back into the hospital. Your brother Steve wrote a letter to say that? Why not pigeon carrier or smoke signals? Cripes, man. Even in 1999, we still had phones. But Tom already knows she's dead, and that's when the phone rings. Tom knows it's going to be bad news, so he goes outside. Tom joins him after getting the bad news, and they hug. All seems well until she suggests that Tom and her leave to get going soon, to be with the family. Tom is all surprised that she wants him to come, which sparks an angry reaction from Maggie. You know, Tom is under a lot of stress. I would like to think that under normal circumstances, he could do better than what he's doing here. But Maggie and Jake take off, while Tom continues to dig for a body. I'm sure Samantha would understand you taking a little break, Tom. Tom goes to the basement when it suddenly occurs to him that maybe the body is down there, so he starts to pickaxe the ground of the basement. He isn't getting very far, so he decides he needs tools. He goes to the store to find a jackhammer. That's the ticket. His activities don't go unnoticed. Meanwhile, Maggie is what I assume is the wake at night. Fun fact, The crew ran out of hours that they could legally use the actor playing Jake, so they had to find a look-alike for the background to complete their shots. Maggie talks to Tom, they make up, and despite Tom's best efforts, Maggie decides to go and pick him up. Jake doesn't want to go because of the feathers. Maggie doesn't know what she's talking about, but Jake stays. But he insists she bring her purse. Tom's digging efforts finally bear fruit when he accidentally hits the wall behind him. All that effort, and it seems all too easy to get into that wall. And wouldn't you know it, there's a dead body in there, wrapped in plastic, a dark place where anyone else would have trouble breathing or seeing. Tom touches her, and we have a flashback. We see two boys, which include Harry's kid, and Adam, are messing about in Tom's house, probably 6 months prior. It's a cold winter day. Samantha is walking and gets a call from the boys. She's surprised that someone would be talking to her. She gets talked into the house with the offer of seeing a surprise. The surprise is they want to be her friends. They've clearly been drinking. She's confused by the situation, but continues to go along with it. She says that he can kiss her if they want to. But Harry's son is a little too aggressive in the kissing and the groping. She doesn't want it like that. She tries to get away, but won't stop screaming. One thing leads to another, and she ends up dead. If you're giving me the boys will be boys here, I'm afraid I don't have much sympathy for you. And the reason we keep hearing Painted Black by the Rolling Stones is that during the scene, the song is heard on the stereo. Tom wakes from the hallucination and goes to Frank's house. Frank says Adam may or may not make it. Tom apologizes and says he thinks he knows why Adam shot himself, and he has to go to the police about it. And he wanted to hear it from Tom, not the newspapers. Frank asks what Tom is talking about, but I'm pretty sure he knows full well. Frank gets his coat and goes with Tom. Meanwhile, we see lights go on ominously at Harry's house. Tom shows Frank the body, and Frank is trying to play it off for a while before revealing emotionally his own complicity. The kids went to them with a dead body. What were they supposed to do? Ruin their futures? Send their sons to jail for the rest of their lives because of her? Frank takes out one of the guns that's frequently been talked about throughout the film, and even used by Adam on himself. Tom wonders what he's going to do with the gun. Frank, who's now very upset, says he's been living with that situation for 6 months. Frank tells Tom to get the hell out of there. It seems Frank intends to kill himself. Tom refuses to leave until Frank starts firing warning shots at him. Tom goes up the stairs, and we hear a gunshot, which makes us think that Frank killed himself. There's a knock at the door. Who does it turn out to be but Harry, with his kid, who looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. Tom says he doesn't have a moment, but Harry slimes his way in. He asks Tom what he's been up to, wrecking the place that he's currently renting from Harry. Pretty sure he knows. Tom is a bad actor, even if the guy who's playing him is a very good actor. Harry tosses a bottle to his son and tells him to drink. Maybe you guys should have pre-gamed before this. Tom sees Harry reach for a gun, and he preemptively strikes. He ends up on the ground, and Harry is prepared to shoot him. Murder, like digging up bodies, is fun for all ages. Only thing that saves him is the blaring of a horn. When nobody responds, Maggie starts to walk towards the house, but the lights go out, and this warns Maggie that something is amiss. She grabs the knife she packed for an earlier occasion and makes her way towards the house. The scene was originally shot in the rain, but the real rain, ironically, looked fake, so they ended up reshooting it. She ends up in the middle of a melee. It seems like they're all about to die when Frank gets re-involved and shoots Harry and his son. An errant gunshot results in feathers flying from Jake's pillow. Pretty sure Jake would not have been in bed if he came home, but still. Frank repeats his line during Tom's bad dream. They were going to kill you, Tom. You and Maggie both. He goes outside, where Tom and Maggie join him. Cold-blooded murder, Frank says. Can't let something like that happen. Not here. This is a decent neighborhood. We cut to a shot of Samantha in the house. She's suddenly outside, putting on her coat. All smiles. She walks away. She's finally free. There's a funeral where Debbie and her mother can finally also be free, knowing what happened. Tom, Maggie, and Jake are packing a moving van. As they drive away, Jake continues to hear the voices of the dead, which he will hear for the rest of his life, no doubt. He's the only one in the film not to be free. Jake covers his ears, and the screen goes black. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the film. You really can't compare this movie to The Sixth Sense. It's apples and oranges. Yes, both movies involve kids who can see dead people, but they are radically different stories, and radically different approaches to that type of story. Both were well done. Which one I'm in the mood for to watch depends on that day. But in my mind, Stir of Echoes is severely underrated as a film. It deserves more love. And as I said, it features one of my favorite Kevin Bacon performances. That's all I got for you. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Korman Productions. You can join one of my Korman Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Korman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Korman Productions, signing off.